Honestly, I didn't know much about Charleston. I've traveled through South Carolina. I don't think I've spent any time in South Carolina my whole life. Started doing some research, learning about the Charleston area, understanding how much history was there with the Civil War and what an old city it was, and then diving into, the fishing and the water, realized that it's, it seemed like a very cool destination.
Good morning, George.
JR, how are you, buddy?
Good.
A little change in the weather here than we were expecting.
Yeah, this is not the sunny conditions they called for, but we can make it work.
Fish are already wet.
Yep, that's right.
I'm excited.
Me too, man.
Jump on.
Let's do it.
Interestingly enough, Penn is located in South Carolina. I didn't have anybody to contact about the area, so I reached out to my contacts at Penn and said, hey, who do you have? What's good in this area? What are my options? JR is who they put me in contact, JR Waits. He's been a guide in this area for a very long time. He was confident, which I like. Talking to him on the phone, he's like, listen, we can get what you need in a half a day.
This water gets really clear in the winter, and we push around low tide flats. There'll be schools of 100, 200 reds in a foot of water. You can see them sight cast to them.
Like Louisiana.
The general dynamic we got going is 3 major rivers dumping into the Charleston Harbor. There's the Ashley River, the Cooper River, and the Wando River. And they all come together in the Charleston Harbor, and that all 3 bodies of water dump into the harbor, and then all that body of water dumps into the ocean. Just outside of the Charleston Harbor, we have the Charleston Jetty system. It's 2 lines of rocks, a north jetty and a south jetty, that stick out from 3 miles from the beach out to the end of the rocks.
You got a lot of herring in that one.
A lot of herring.
I like the menhaden better, but
the herring may work fine. And just across the nostrils? That's the way I do them. Circle hook. Look at that little baby short section of leader there.
this time of year, these bull reds are schooling and moving around a bunch. So typically we'll try a spot 15, 20 minutes. If we don't get bit, move on and try to find where they are. There we go. Oh, what a spot. All right, there we go. That's the sound I like to hear, George.
A little thump I felt, and that was it. It's similar to fishing the deep water inlets in Florida. You find a lot of redfish on shallow flats and shallow bodies of water, but when you're targeting these giant, big bull reds, you often think of either deep water inlets or, you know, the surf up the eastern seaboard.
Because there's so much life here, there's so much predator fish to eat the life that's here. And it's a very good spawning area for them too, because the harbor's really deep, and so they can get down into that deep water to spawn. They typically spawn in late August, early September, sometimes as late into October.
These are schooling fish in here?
Yeah, typically this time of the year. They spread out more in the warm summer months, but they all gather together this time of the year after the spawn to move offshore when it gets a little colder. Looks like the circle hook did its job correctly.
Oh yeah.
Open up, buddy.
When you life vests are in the helicopter, let's roll, get them squared away. You got a step there, you got a handle there.
What better way to see an area, to understand an area, than to get on a helicopter?
Gentlemen, we are good to go. You're gonna hear one buzz as we roll up here, all right? Charleston Air, Patriot 1 helicopter is part of Patriot's points. 100% on ground in Charleston.
You know, we traveled over this area to maybe check out a museum and check out the ship, and I saw the helicopter sitting there, and I was like a little kid. I was excited. I'm like, no, we got to get on this thing. We got to get up in the sky and kind of take in the Charleston area from a helicopter's point of view.
Tide's coming in right now, so it starts slowly starting to fill up. But by tonight, by this evening, you won't see any of the little tiny land chunks in there.
You know, when you're up in the air, you get a perspective of where you're at in relation to the down. It kind of, you can see these channels and these passes, and you see these deep water harbors, and it just kind of helps put it all together for you. And doing that in a helicopter did that for me, and I'm glad I did that prior to fishing and when I first got to town.
You'll see these green and red buoys over here. That's where the big freighters have got to come in and out of. It's a continuous dredging operation to make sure it's deep enough.
I see that dredge coming in. These jetties have been here a while.
Yeah, man, these jetties have been here since the 1800s.
They brought these rocks out here in the 1800s.
It's an engineering marvel. If you look at it from the sky, it's like a perfect hourglass.
Wow.
And how they got them here and did that in the 1800s, I have no earthly idea. But the problem was the entrance to the harbor kept filling up with sand, and the supply ships coming in were getting stuck. So they had to figure out a way to deepen the harbor. And a guy at the Army Corps of Engineers came up with the idea of putting 2 lines of rocks at the entrance of the harbor to concentrate the current, which dug a deeper trench. And nowadays, of course, with the super tankers, they need it deeper and deeper and deeper. And there's a whole harbor dredging project out there where we're trying to become the deepest port on the East Coast. Not sure if it's been completed or not, but I still see them out there working. It's probably not yet. Oh, bite is on. Looks like you got a real one this time.
He's just hugging the bottom. Oh no. Oh no.
There he goes.
Oh.
Our main target is going to be redfish most of the year. There's tons of other species that come in and out of here that we target. For me personally, I love to reef fish in the spring for cobia and amberjacks. And then in the late summer, I love to fish for tarpon around the inlets and on the sandbars. But I would say 80% of the year, our main target is going to be a redfish, whether it's fishing in the creeks during the winter months where we're poling a flat boat through shallow water looking to sight cast to the juvenile redfish, or if it's in the bay boat out around the jetties and the inlets and the sandbars going for the big bulls in the summer and fall.
This year round? You catch these year round?
No, they go out to the ocean in the end of November and then typically come back end of March, beginning of April.
So you get like all the rat reds or whatever you call them, the smaller reds?
Yeah, juveniles. They'll still get up 12, 15 pounds in that backwater. They'll live in that backwater till they're about 3 or 4 years old, and then they come out here and join the spawning population.
What a stud! Oh my goodness. You have a treasure here, my friend.
There you go.
Travel all over to catch quality redfish like that, and this is one after the other here.
Yeah, we have a great fishery, and this just happens to be the best time of the year, so.
Timed it perfectly. There's products that I'm very passionate about, and Olokai is one of them. I love footwear, I'm not gonna lie, and I spend more time on my feet than most. Long days on the water requires comfort, it requires safety, it requires a lot of things that Olokai provide for me. They're stylish footwear, they're built for outdoorsmen, they're built for watermen, and that's exactly what I am, that's why I choose them. Whether you're on the boat, at the beach, running around town, or out at a nice dinner, Olokai has a product for everyone. I've been a part of the Olokai family for years, and I wore them before I was sponsored because I believe in the product. I welcome you to try them, and I promise you, after you wear them once, you're gonna want to join that family as well. So look for Olokai at a retailer near you.
You're hooked up? Got one.
Oh my God.
Right here at the boat. I was bouncing along the bottom and boom, he smacked it right at the boat.
The bite is turned on.
Not a monster like yours. I say that now.
Now he's waking up.
Pulling hard. I love all of them, every size. Oh, this one's really pretty. Got spots all down his back.
Incredible fishery.
Freckled redfish.
How good is this bite? I see why you said you wanted a lipping device.
Yeah, it makes life easier.
Oh, you ain't kidding. You know what? I see that purple now that you're talking about on their heads.
Really cool color.
Yeah, I thought maybe the other one was scarred up because of hitting the rocks, but that's just their coloring.
Yeah. And of course they change color to match their environment. Sometimes they'll be bright, bright orange, but most of the time our fish are about this coloring.
Let's get him back in the water. Him or her? The bigger ones are females, or do they know?
You can't tell.
Okay.
But they do say the bigger ones are females, but you can't tell. You can't sex them unless you kill them. This one's like an upside down smiley face.
Oh yeah. I've come to understand that the local cuisine, the foods in an area, can really tell you the story about the area. So, what better way to do that than to talk to a local chef? Is that the correct terminology, executive chef?
Yeah,
Sous chef?
chef? Executive chef would be the highest you could go as like one
Top dog.
Sous chef would be underneath that.
Oh, okay.
Chef de cuisine is like, some people don't use that term, but is directly underneath.
Sounds kind of Frenchish.
Yeah. I lived in St. Louis, Missouri before I lived here in Charleston, and I said I would give Charleston 2 years, and that was 12 years ago. And after 2 years, I didn't even think about moving anywhere. I mean, this place is so beautiful. Like, where else am I gonna go?
Yeah, no, it is incredible. Now, does where you're located throughout the country, that dictates the kind of cuisine typically? I mean, so each area has what it's known for, and so probably where you were before was something different than what you were doing now?
Yeah. My food has just always sort of been, I kind of threw my hands up a long time ago and stopped trying to cook what I thought everyone else wanted and just cook what I wanted. So I said, if people like the flavors that I like, they'll come find me and they'll follow me, and that's the following that I'll develop, rather than try to make something that someone else made and tweak that a little bit or something. So my palate has changed since I've lived in Charleston also, and really developed a taste for a lot of things Charleston, like fresh seafood. I mean, if you look at the place, like the seafood just doesn't get any better than this.
Right.
Redfish, fresh shrimp, sea trout. I mean, it's really, really amazing. The inland water, our waterways here are just phenomenal.
So you get a lot of locally sourced seafood from these waters.
Yeah, tons of shrimp. I mean, we go through a ton of shrimp. oysters, a lot of local oysters. I regard our oysters in Charleston as some of the best oysters in the world. Our place is basically just a giant gastro pub, and we just sort of, after COVID, I figured people need some familiar, friendly food. So now we're platters of fried chicken and different sides and collard greens and that really familiar thing where you can sit down and really be comfortable in our dining room or outside or something like that.
We're staying out on Isle of Palms, which is Barrier Island. We're staying at the Wild Dunes Resort, and this is a perfectly positioned area to do everything that we need to do. Close to the boat ramps, easy access to the water, but at the same time, just a short drive from the downtown area.
There's one.
Got him?
Yep.
Nice. That might be a little better one.
Yeah, it seems like this one's got a little more back to him.
Turn it on. Back to back fish. Just bounce. You put a weight on, you're bounce the bottom?
Yeah, 2 ounce.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything. I noticed you slid back here by my spot.
Got to fish where the fish are biting, right?
Wow, dude, that's a good one, huh?
Definitely.
That one's got some shoulders.
This is the size they're supposed to be.
Wow. Look at the size of this thing.
I'll take you over here, buddy.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That is a stud of a redfish.
Oh, he's got a South Carolina tag in the back of him there.
Oh yeah. So you just record the number?
Record the number, we should record his length, and then we'll send in the information later on today if we get into a situation where the fish aren't biting. That's an orange tag. That means it was tagged by the scientists themselves, probably in a long line type study.
Sweet.
40 inches to the tip of the tail, 38 to the fork.
I've caught redfish, a lot of redfish before, but when you can land on an area where it's bull red after bull red, JR was not lying. You could come here in a couple hours, catch more redfish than you ever wanted to catch. And that's a great thing. It's an amazing fishery. They just flat out wear you out. Strong fish, they're not very short bites. You know, the tackle that we're using, it's tackle testing and it's muscle testing. Is this a big one or an average?
That's average.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh, what a fishery.
See you next time, buddy. There he goes. All right, good work.
Charleston is a peninsula surrounded by the Charleston Harbor, and we thought what better place to start than right on the tip at the Battery. Hundreds of years ago, it was probably, fortified. This was probably, the front line of defense. And now it's a park that memorializes the history of this area. You're standing on streets and in front of buildings with placards dating back to the 1600s, 1700s, tombstones in a cemetery from the 17 and 1800s. We're talking, this is several hundred years old. We're talking about before the United States was even a country. It's kind of cliche, but if the trees could talk or the cobblestone streets could talk and the stories that they could tell you and what has transpired over the years in the Charleston area, it's just so hard to even imagine how much history has taken place and how many things have occurred in this area. And you're humbled, you're in awe. It kind of My time that I've been here in the history that I know is so small. One thing you're struck with looking over the landscape of the Charleston area is the steeples and the churches. And you can see how much effort and care and thought was put into there, as these were, you know, architectural masterpieces, and they obviously took pride in their religious temples. And the churches are just amazing to see the architecture and the craftsmanship that went into this, and to realize that this was done hundreds of years ago is amazing. I just walked by in awe of just looking at how things were built and how they were designed and how they did this that long ago. Charleston, South Carolina is rich in history with an incredible fishery. With that kind of history, there's no way that you could explore this place in several days, and I look forward to coming back.
Little Frenchie.
Okay, I think okay to continue.
I started to hit a little bit of a wall there. Get a little tired.
I know. I'm just like,
dig the
I was
vocabulary.
swallowing it for a while. Yeah, no, it was great. That was all. Honestly, that's all. We get pretty solid at the end.
Don't show the resort's towel that I'm borrowing. I'm gonna bring it back, I promise.